Well, welcome everyone to the Bowling University studio from the International Bowling Campus here in Arlington, Texas. This is the Profit Break. Now, if you're joining us for the first time, we're glad you're here. Give us 15 minutes and you're going to be well on your way to improving yourself and your profitability. Now, on today's show, I'm going to share with you the 2023 Benchmarking and Operation Ratio Study. We'll talk a little bit about what it is, why you need to know about it, and a few of the key data points today. Now, before we dive into the data, it's important to note that this is the first study since the pandemic on the overall health of our industry. And since we're a relatively small industry, this study plays an even more important role for all of us, whether we realize it or not. So let's jump right into the data today. So let's talk first with what is it? This is the 7th edition of this study, and it's really not possible without all of your participation. So first of all, thank you to everyone that participated in this most recent study. I know that A, you're busy, it takes time, and B, let's be honest, you're sharing some sensitive information, and sometimes folks are a little reluctant to that. So we thank you for entrusting us to be able to put together this study. It's only made possible with your help. Now, if you participated in the study, you were given a free copy. It was sent to your center as a thank you for being part of it. And so you should have a copy at your location there. So let's talk about what we measure in the study. It captures the industry center demographics, the revenue, expenses, your access as an operator to finance, lineage, lane usage, bowling and shoe rental pricing, and marketing as well. So that's what's in it. What I really love about the study is it allows us then to segment the data that you then as an operator can go and look at by center size, number of lanes, revenue group, high performing versus lower performing, the type of lineage, if maybe you're more casual focused or more league focused. You can also segment the data by ownership structure. Are you a multi-unit operator? Are you a single unit operator? Also by geographic region. The research company we use has aligned the locations based off of the census geographic regions. Also community type. Are you in a rural, urban? What type of setting are you in? And lastly, by the type of center. Are you a bowling-based entertainment center or are you a more traditional center? And all of those are good. They're just different, but it really allows you to segment the data there. So let's dive in and talk about why does it even matter? Why would I need the data, right? Why should I be a part of this study, or why would I want to look at it after it's been published? Number one, and most importantly, I think it allows you to see how you compare to other like centers. Now, as proprietors and managers, or owners and operators, you're great at networking, you share a lot of great ideas, but that's all anecdotal, it's kind of directional, it's not statistical data, and this allows you to look beyond just your location and see what's happening not only in your community, but in your state and also national, and all the data segment points that you can segment the data there. And then the part that I always like to remind folks is the reason this study is so critical is that it's used by the banking and finance industry for a lot of purposes. If your business is being appraised, let's say at some point in time you want to sell your business. You might be looking to refinance for modernization. You might want to get a loan. One of the first things that the finance industry is going to do is they're going to look for the benchmarking data. They're going to contact you and ask if you have it, or they're going to contact us as the gatekeepers of the industry data and want to know if it's available. So it's critical now for you as an operator. It's critical for you now and in the future if you're ever going to look for appraising the business there. So let's jump into some of the data there. I want to share just a few of the data points so you can have some takeaways, some nuggets, if you will. It's a little bit of a story. Now, let me say this before I go any further. The data is just that, just data. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just data. If you're an optimist, you're going to find 100 reasons why this is an incredible time to be in the industry. Candidly, if you're a pessimist, you're going to say, see, I told you, things are going to hell. But the reality is it's just data. This is just quantifiable research that you then can use for your operation. So let's look at this first type of revenue here. And because this is our 7th study, we now have a nice trend line. You can see in 2002, when we talk about revenue, 37% of revenue was non-bowling. And it's measured by the research firm as non-bowling is anything that's not bowling or shoe rental. It doesn't matter what type of bowling. It could be casual or event or party or league. Bowling revenue is all of your bowling revenue plus shoe rental, and then the non-bowling is everything else. That could be food, beverage, bar, any of the entertainment, games, axe throwing, doesn't matter. And you can see there in 2002, it's pretty much a 60-40 business as an industry. 60% of our revenue, 63% to be exact, came from bowling. And you can see how the trend over the last 20 years has changed. Again, I'm not saying that's good. I'm not saying that's bad. It's just data. If you're an optimist, you're going to be excited. If you're a pessimist, you're going to say, see, I told you. But the results say this. In 2023, on average, as an industry, 58% of all revenue from a center came from something other than bowling. And we kind of had that watershed moment in 2015 where it shifted over, and in 2017, more of our revenue as industry came from things that were not bowling related. So I find that to be some fascinating data that's in the study. Now, this does not say anything about the total revenue for your center. What this says is the makeup of revenue. So if you're doing $2 million, 58% is probably coming from non-bowling, and 42% on average is coming from bowling. We'll talk about what the actual revenue number is in just a second, but I love this data point. Another data point I want to share with you is the type of center based on the revenue. Now, this is not self-selected. This is calculated by the research firm. And the way that the methodology they use is if your total revenue is greater than 50% from bowling, you're classified as a traditional center, even if it's a lot of casual or other. But that's the metric they use. It's not self-selected. If greater than 50% of your revenue comes from something other than bowling, you are classified as a bowling-based entertainment center. Bowling's still important, it's a key component, but you're driving more than 50% of your revenue from something other than bowling. Not a perfect definition, but it's the definition the research firm uses, because prior to 2015, it was all self-selected, and you can pick and choose. If you had 6 video games, you might have considered yourself an FEC. And FEC is such a broad term these days. So from research purposes, this is the definition, the calculation. So in 2015, you can see there that almost 60% of the industry was still very traditional in their revenue stream. And then in 2017, you can see that it migrated to 52%. And then in 2019, it was 48%. And then this most recent study, you can see that it's continued to change, and it is now 43%. Again, not that that's good, not that it's bad, but when you hear anecdotally about the trends about how less traditional centers are being built and more entertainment centers are being built, and why all the other revenue streams are so important, this data kind of solidifies that and backs that up there. So let's take a look at revenue, because that's important. Why I gave you some of the mix, this pulls out some of the categories, and I've got the 2019 numbers there for you, pre-pandemic, and then the 2023 numbers for you. And we know, as we've talked together as an industry, we know that revenues have been incredible. For many, it's been at a record high. This validates the data here. You can see the various areas there. And in the study, you got to select whether you thought you had a snack bar or restaurant. It didn't matter. You really have to add those two numbers together. But if you add the food and beverage together in both 2019 and 2023, it really is an incredible stat. I mean, look at this now. What is that? $37,000 per lane is now coming from food and beverage, not including alcohol. And so when we say that we're in the food business, this validates it. We're in the food business. Many of us got in this industry because of our love of bowling and got in the bowling business, but we are in the food business now, and that's why it's such an incredible, important topic that we spend a lot of time on at the university. Now, when we talk about average revenue, in 2019, the average revenue per center was a little over 1.6 million. 1.6 million, that was the average. In 2023, it's now over 2 million. So there was a substantial increase that we all felt, we all know, but now we kind of have some data to support it here. On the expense side, while our revenues have increased substantially, so have our expenses. In 2019, the controllable expenses per lane was about $50,000 per lane in 2019. That escalated up to $66,000 in 2019. So as our revenues have increased, we know, and we felt it, that our expenses have increased as well. What I'm showing you here on this chart is really the percentages. And the blue line there is the percentage of revenue, and the darker line there is the percentage of expenses. And so the good news is, on a percentage basis, when you compare this to 2019, it has held pretty firm. So revenues have gone up substantially, and our expenses have gone up substantially as well. All incredible data, all things that kind of validate some of the things that we've been feeling. And remember, you can slice and dice this data in a lot of different ways to compare your location. A couple last data points I want to share with you today is average price per game. I know many of us are going to hourly bowling. Some are still converting that hourly time into lineage. But in any case, in 2019, you can see there that what the average price per game was for the various day parts: league, your weekday casual, weeknight casual, weekend day casual, and then the weekend night casual. So take a look at this in 2019, this weekend night. On average, we're at $4.61 per game. Now, you might have been higher, you might have been lower, but just remember that number, $4.61. Now, let's fast forward to 2023. Look at the increase there. We're now at $5.40, almost a 50-cent increase. And one of the things that's come out of the pandemic is many of us as operators have had to be much more aggressive with our pricing. And the data shows that to match the cost and to continue with all the things that are happening in the business. So again, I find the data fascinating. You can make a storyboard out of whatever it is that you need to know there, and just want to share a few of those data points with you today there. So if you would like more information about the study, or to get your copy, you can email me directly. It's bart@bpa.com. Now, if you're ready to start improving your profitability, you can reach us anytime at education@bpa.com. So as we wrap up another edition of the Profit Break, remember, when your focus is on growing people, people will grow your business. Now, this episode, as well as all of our previous Profit Break episodes, are available 24/7 for you and your team. Just visit bowlinguniversity.net. Plus, we've got new episodes every month. Mark your calendar, watch your email, join us on Facebook to hear about all the latest episodes. Until then, I'm Bart Berger, and remember, do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. We'll see you next time.